To start with, I want to share with you two images that I encountered just outside the Alice Springs local court some years ago when I was practicing as a youth lawyer. The first one relates to a 15-year-old Indigenous boy locking himself inside in his grandfather's car, having a panic attack, refusing to get out of the car because he did not know what would happen to him when he walked inside the court door. The second one relates to something after court. An 11-year-old Indigenous boy who kept screaming at the top of his lungs, crying and refusing to follow his mother to go home as required by the bail conditions that he just signed inside court. But when we think about those behaviour, is there anything criminal about this behaviour? But if the 15-year-old boy did not get out of the car and show up in court, he will risk getting arrested, getting a warrant and being taken into custody. The same will happen to the 11-year-old if he doesn't go home with his mother. Be it psychological stress, mental health issues or trauma, it struck me at that point on those occasions that none of the people working in the courthouse are trained to deal with those issues or behaviours. The result is that we operate in a criminal justice system that leaves sick kids not treated, but simply punished. During my Churchill Fellowship in 2018, I witnessed how youth court in New Zealand are committed to involving mental health professionals in every location that the youth court sits. I also travelled to different parts in America where different types of specialist juvenile mental health courts operates and are set up to make sure vulnerable kids who struggle with mental illness are provided with tailored and therapeutic responses to address their needs. I also learned about this term called behavioural health because there's always a health component and an explanation to behaviour. Back in Australia, most of our youth courts still today do not have any behavioural health specialists in our court. Even after a Royal Commission in the Northern Territory, no mental health professions are present in our children's court in the Northern Territory, even though we are now more than aware that involvement with the criminal justice system can be very traumatising for some vulnerable Indigenous children. But ladies and gentlemen, at about 6:30 last night, the Northern Territory became the first jurisdiction to raise the age of a criminal responsibility to adults. Minister McCarthy made it. We did something better for our kids, something in particular for our Indigenous kids. But we can all put in place incremental and small reform that can start making our children's courts more therapeutic and responsive to the needs of our kids. I have two recommendations. In the Northern Territory, we can start piloting a youth mental health diversion list. Second, we have to work with Aboriginal Community Control Health Organisation to not just fund them, but also let them co-design and deliver holistic community mental health services, both at the individual, family and community levels. We shouldn't need a Royal Commission multiple four corners report to remind us that we have forgotten to treat our kids with dignity and humanity. We certainly don't need another public outcry to start doing what is right by these vulnerable children who we know struggle a great deal with their mental health. It does not cost us much to do this right, but it will surely cost us more in every other way if we keep treating these sick kids with punishment. Thank you.